Hey guys, what's going on? This is Nick here with Catalyst Fitness. I'm super excited about this week's episode of the vlog. We're going to be going over what produces results. And at the end of the day, there are two things that are going to make sure that you produce consistent results for yourself in your life. The first one is obviously having the knowledge, okay? We need to make sure that we understand the right things to do. I'm going to be giving you 4 tips today that are going to kind of fill that void. And I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible without getting into too much technical jargon with you, okay? I know that's not why you're here. The second thing is just making sure that we have the right construct of behaviors that'll help us take that knowledge, put it into action simplistically to be able to produce that results for ourselves. So before I get into what those 4 things are, I really want to share a statistic with you that it upsets me and it makes me frustrated at the same time. But it just goes to show that knowledge by itself is not enough. And so when we look at this, okay, 40%, and this isn't my opinion, this is a statistic, Google it, 40% of the American population is considered overweight. And that number is expected to rise over the next 3 years. So take that with the fact that more and more information every day is being pumped out than any other time in human history. Okay, so we have more information right now at the access of our fingertips more than any time in human history, yet the epidemic has continued to rise. And so kind of what gives here? It just goes to show that knowledge by itself isn't going to be the thing that makes the actual change happen. It's the implementation of that knowledge. And so context is everything when we talk about the implementation of knowledge, all right? And when it comes to losing body fat, wanting to lose body fat the right way, there are 4 things that you must do on a consistent basis. Now, there are variables for every type of person. If you're 30% body fat, different routine versus whether you're 12, okay? So I just want to kind of throw that out there before I continue. So the first thing that we want to look at, this is the most important thing. Most people overeat. So when we get clients coming in, they're usually overeating the wrong types of foods, all right? And they don't have any activity. So the first thing that we try to do is get their activity up, all right? So how do we do that? We focus on 2 to 4 strength training sessions, 2 to 4 1-hour strength training sessions every week with people. And so why is strength training more important, or why is it better than going on a long run? Okay, so well, the biggest reason is because of your lean body mass. So we want to make sure that when we're losing weight, we protect our lean tissue. We do not want to be skinny fat. We do not want to lose muscle tissue, especially because as we age, it's very imperative that we keep that on to kind of mitigate the risks of other disease processes. And so when we look at that, we really want to make sure that we're focusing on full body movements. That means upper, lower core, and that we have a good array of movements to make sure that we're hitting all different sorts of muscles and movement patterns, okay? So strength training is crucially important because it helps you protect your lean tissue when you're in a caloric deficit. So speaking of a caloric deficit, that's the second thing that we want to pay attention to, okay? If you want to lose body fat, you have to make sure that you're burning more calories than you take in every day. That is non-negotiable, all right? So we make sure that we have the workout portion that helps with that, but we also have to make sure that we have the nutritional portion that's set up in the right structure for our particular body weight and body fat and lean body mass, all those sorts of things, that will help us actually lose the body fat in a safe way. Now, what most people do is they end up basically increasing their exercise and just decreasing their food and bottoming out. And so that's not intelligent, because here's what happens. Your body, when you are working out is a stressor, and going on a diet is a stressor to the body. When you couple that with the fact that we have so much financial stress, maybe it's parental stress, maybe it's spousal stress, kid stress, all that sort of stuff, right? We live in an environment where we're just constantly exposed to stress. We have to make sure that our workouts and our nutrition aren't kind of, smashing us into the ground and kind of, burying us under that cumulative load of stress. So what are we looking for here, okay? We want to make sure that we put the calories in a right spot that allow you to lose body fat at a safe rate. And so when we think of that, we're all about trying to find the minimal effective dose of exercise and the maximum amount of food that's going to help you accomplish your goals. So as an example, let's say you can eat 2,000 calories and lose a great rate of body fat. Well, what's the point of going to 1,000? Or what's the point of doing paleo or keto if you could do it on more and feel better? So There's a lot of misinformation out there when it comes to fitness and nutrition, and that's probably the biggest one for me. Here's the scary part: is when you cut your calories too low, what happens is you have a tendency to increase your stress hormones. When your stress hormones increase, they can decrease your sex hormones or make your reproductive hormones a little chaotic. And so that's obviously something that we don't want, because when they start, getting out of balance, the stress hormones and the reproductive hormones, those sorts of things, what ends up happening is we end up creating disturbances within our metabolism. And so for some people that could mean that they don't sleep anymore. Well, I could tell you, if you're not sleeping well, probably not gonna look the best. That's where your body repairs and heals itself. Okay? So the third thing we want to pay attention to is making sure that we get adequate amounts of protein. Now, if you're 30% body fat, different recommendation than if you're 10, okay? So we want to make sure we find out what your lean body mass is, and that'll help us figure out how much protein you should be eating. If you struggle with eating meats or you want to do vegan, that's totally your choice. We just got to make sure that we hit those targets in the best way that helps you feel your best. So if there's a moral reason you don't eat meat, whether it's a religious setting, or maybe you just don't like the way that it makes you feel anymore, that's totally cool. We just got to make sure we get it from different sources. The fourth thing that we want to look at, and in my opinion, this is probably one of the most important ones, and we have to coach everybody on this in our facility, is fiber. Okay, so dietary fiber is crucial for you to be able to not only be healthy but also lose weight. And the reason is because that fiber, what it does is when you eat it, it helps you assemble a good diverse range of gut bacteria, okay? But even more importantly than that, it helps your body eliminate, it goes in and binds to toxic waste products like old hormones and heavy metals, all those sorts of things, and it helps your body excrete them out of the system. So think of it this way: most people don't realize that when you're trying to drop body fat, it's not like the fat that you're losing just kind of dissipates into the air. Your body has to be able to metabolize that. So what we found is if people aren't eating enough fiber, that can actually stall their weight loss progress immensely. So those four things are non-negotiables when it comes to losing weight the right way. If we are missing one of these four things, we're not going to, I'm not saying we can't lose weight on the scale, it means it's not going to be the type of weight that we want to lose. We want to make sure that we keep our lean body mass as high as we possibly can, and we want to make sure that our weight loss comes from fat. That is the healthy way to do it. And we want to make sure that we're working out the minimal effective amount that we can, and we're getting the most amount of food in there. That's going to make sure that you do this safe. And what's awesome is it leads to actually having a good quality lifestyle. Okay, you're not going to be burnt out because you're under eating and overtraining. You're not going to burn out in 6 weeks, 12 weeks, right? You're doing this the right way. Those habits are sustainable. And again, you do this stuff for a year. You do it for 2 years, 3 years, all those sorts of things. It's a lot like a savings account, right? If all I do, or a retirement account, if all I do is pay into my retirement account 1 month out of every 2 years, probably not going to I'm going to be working the rest of my life pretty hard. But if I'm paying in every month like I'm supposed to, doing the work that I'm supposed to, over the course of the long term, really good things happen. And so this tip is all about trying to keep you guys safe. I think that there's a lot of misinformation out there on the topic of weight loss and trying to do it properly. And we're really just trying to make sure that we educate you to do the things that you need to do. If any of this is vague or you feel like you need help, we'll help you see the forest from the trees. And so I have an analogy that I use with everybody. You can't see it outside the picture frame when you are the picture. And so I've got a painting on my back wall here right now, right behind this camera, and it's of an old New Orleans jazz guitar player. It's like an acrylic, cartoonish looking thing. And it's one of my favorite paintings. It's 4 feet by 2 feet. And so when we think of that, right, this painting is encased in a beautiful wooden frame. And that frame is placed on the wall. All right. The reason why people hire a coach is because the client can only experience the picture. That's it. They can't see outside of that picture frame. They can't see the whole wall. So an example of that would be, let's just say that you're doing everything right, or you feel like you're doing everything right. Oh, I'm eating healthy. Okay, well, what does that mean? It's a very vague thing. What are we doing here? Are we eating enough fiber? Are we eating enough protein? Do we have enough dietary fat to protect our reproductive system, right? I'm eating really healthy. Man, I work out every single day for an hour. Okay, well, what are you doing? How hard are you pushing yourself? You could be checking either one of those boxes, and if one of those variables are off, you're not going to make the progress that you want. So again, a coach can kind of see the whole picture, can see the wall, put the puzzle together, and make sure that you're actually doing the things that you need to do to make progress in the fastest and safest way possible. So with that being said, I want to leave you guys with the quote of the week, and it comes from my man Ben Franklin. Go Sixers. And basically what it is it says that he that is good at making excuses is seldom good for anything else. And so I always go back to this because at the end of the day, I personally believe that the reason people can't make progress for themselves is because they don't prioritize themselves. They don't put in the time that they need to. And I'm not saying it's because they don't want to. I get it. Life is crazy. It throws you curveballs, whether it's financially, from a time commitment standpoint, you have kids or you lose a spouse, something along those things. Like, I don't want to downgrade any of that, right? But there's always 30 minutes, there's always a better decision right around the corner for you guys. And so I don't want you guys to, go to bed every night having reasons as to why you can't do things. I want you to find the reason as to why you can. That way you're able to actually produce that result for yourself long term. So with that being said, I want to make sure that we start focusing on the behaviors that are going to produce the right result for you. Okay? Because remember, going back to the knowledge piece that I shared earlier, it just isn't enough anymore. Okay? We have to make sure that we're doing the right things in the right order to make sure that we can sustain this. Otherwise, we just end up spinning our wheels. And so we get a lot of people, they go to other programs, they go try other things, and what ends up happening is maybe they do well with them, okay, because they're severely restricted. Of course, anybody could get anyone to lose weight if they make you eat 800 calories and work out 7 days a week. That's not hard. The hard part is how do you sustain that, and how do you come out of that, okay? And so while, yes, anyone can lose weight, the whole point is why spin your wheels, waste time, money, and emotion, working your ass off and going through that process, only for 6, 7, 8 months later to be right back where you started, if not worse, because you didn't do it intelligently. And so I want to leave you with this. There are a lot of people who, in my mind, would have every reason not to chase something that's important to them. Maybe it's somebody who's in a wheelchair, or they're a double limb amputee, arms and legs, yet they still try to find a way to get a workout in. And that is a very real thing. Go to YouTube and Google it, okay? Or maybe you have people that have severe digestive disorders that, if they have to eat well, or else, they're going to be in constant pain and inflammation. And so the biggest thing is making a big reason as to why you have to achieve what it is that you're trying to achieve. And I think everything falls into place, all right? So hopefully this information helped you. If you have any comments, questions, or concern, please respond down below. Looking forward to meeting.